All right, guys, so what we're gonna show you right now is we're gonna show you how to, each vehicle is gonna be different removing gaskets, but we're gonna show you what you're going to do if you have a vehicle with removable side gaskets on the A-pillar, and then how you're gonna orient the film to be able to install it properly, how you're gonna be able to orient the kit. So this is a series of videos. If you're watching this video and you haven't seen some of the other videos in this series that show how you attack cars with gaskets covering the edge of the film, the edge of the glass. The reason why we're filming this video series is when we make these kits, we make these kits on uninstalled pieces of glass that obviously expose the edges, okay? When we make the kit is made edge to edge, so if a vehicle has gaskets like this, they're going to cause the film to butt up against the gasket. So if you were to lay this film on this glass, the film would butt up to these side gaskets here and also butt up to a gasket on the bottom. Now, the reason why we can't assume where these gaskets exactly are within a specific model. So this is a, for all intents and purposes, a BMW 3 Series. Now, but this specific model is a BMW M3. A base BMW 3 Series is going to have a slightly different side gasket than the M3 and a slightly different bottom gasket than the M3, right? When we make this kit, we make this kit for all BMW M Series. And so thus, we can't assume exactly where the gaskets are on each and every different trim within the BMW M Series. So that means in order for you to have a perfect fit, you're gonna have to do minimal trimming. Now, the nice thing about the BMW M Series is they have removable side gaskets. So the only trim that you're gonna have to do is on the bottom. So what we're gonna show you right now is how we're going to remove these gaskets and orient the film. So we're each gonna remove the gaskets now, just shift them up, pop them out from the driver's side and the passenger side. You're just gonna lay them right here. Just lay them right here on the hood, okay? So now what we've done is we've exposed 3 of the 4 edges of the glass. As you can see, we have the driver's and passenger's A-pillar edge exposed, as well as the top of the driver's edge exposed. And then on this specific, the BMW 3 Series, we have this bottom kind of cowling or gasket that covers the bottom edge, okay? So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna show you how to orient the film on the glass to ensure that when you're cutting that bottom when you're cutting the bottom edge, you're doing it in the way to keep the film oriented properly over the glass. All right, so if you saw the other video in this series where we showed you how to orient the film with the gaskets, with cars that have A-pillar gaskets that you can't remove, you saw how the film was actually packaged. It was on a core, wrapped in foam. We didn't put it back on the core, so we're just gonna show you how we're gonna lay this film over the glass right now. All right. So make sure as you're handling ClearPlex that you don't crease it, you leave tension on it. And again, this is part of the process that's called, quote unquote, what's called the wet check. So as you can see, if you've ever worked with ClearPlex, if you were to lay down a piece of film that hadn't been shrunk, you would have massive fingers on the top and the bottom. You can see that this film has already been heat shrunk because of the lack of the fingers, all right? So what we're doing now is we just laid the film down and we have the film aligned with the bottom cowling, but we notice that the top has a little bit of excess. So what this means is that this bottom cowling is actually covering the edge of the glass. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift this film so we're able to push it over the bottom cowling, okay? And we're going to align it with the top of the glass, all right? Might come out a little bit. Okay. And so just want to reiterate, as you can see, where the film is laying flush against the glass, there are absolutely no fingers, which is how you can tell this film is properly formed. So now what we're going to do to trim this film in the way that it's properly oriented is we have the film aligned with the edge of the glass, aligned with the top edge, aligned with each of the side edges. And the reason why we do this is, as I mentioned in some of the other video series, when we make these kits, we lay film over an uninstalled windshield, cut the film edge to edge. So if you were to orient this film so that bottom edge actually met the bottom gasket and you cut the top edge, what you would be doing is you would be orienting the film so it no longer was correctly oriented over the glass as we had heat shrunk it. So when you cut the film, you always want to cut the film in the manner where when you go to install the film will then be oriented in the way that we heat shrunk it. So in order to ensure that you're going to orient the film in the way that we heat shrunk it, you need to make sure that the edges that we cut, which you can see here, are oriented with the exposed edges of the glass, which are the top and the A-pillars, okay? So now, there's a couple different ways that you can go, talking about how we're gonna be cutting film that has removable side gaskets. So as I went over, you're gonna orient the film so the edges that we cut, which you obviously can see are oriented with the exposed edges of the glass, that being the top and the A-pillars. Now we're gonna cut the bottom, and then that's gonna take care of these fingers, all right? All I'm gonna do in this video is show you two different options of how you can cut it. We're not gonna go into detail of actually cutting this film. And then the next video in this series is gonna be us installing this film. So there's two different methods that you can use depending on how much confidence you have in yourself in regards to cutting on glass. Some people prefer to use a wax pen. This is something that you can easily source at your Home Depot or a local hardware store. What you can do with this is you can trace where that film meets the bottom cowling or gasket, and then remove the film and cut the film on your glass cutting board. Or you can cut directly on the glass. It's up to you. It's really something that is just a decision that's completely up to you. All right, so right now, this concludes this specific video. Just to summarize, what we showed you in this video is we showed you how to remove gaskets on a vehicle that you can remove a gasket on. We showed you why you have to trim or orient the film in a specific manner for vehicles that have gaskets or cowling. And this all relates back to the fact that when we make kits on uninstalled glass. So for this specific instance, with a vehicle that had gaskets on the driver's side and the passenger side, we removed those side gaskets. Then we oriented the film so they aligned with the driver's or the top of the vehicle, as well as the driver's side A-pillar, the passenger side A-pillar, and then we now have overlap on this bottom cowling. Then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna trim one edge, that bottom cowling, and then the film is gonna fit. And then the next video, what we're gonna show you is we're gonna show you the final installation. So this concludes this video.